Meeting of the Sherman County Commissioners comes to order, please. First thing is open session for 15 minutes.
Chrissy, since someone's up there, I do have a question for you.
Yes.
Okay, so yesterday they were closing the interstate going west. And I was working out, it's up to you. I was working out the visiting center, okay? We had some people start coming in and saying that there was an EMT down there when they had direct, telling people to come to the center and stay in. Okay, so we were never contacted, even that the road was closed. But we got on the screen and we were able to see that the traffic was closed. But we had a lot of people then coming up to us and saying, well, when can we leave? When can we leave? And we had no idea. Because if you looked at the screen, it was pretty clear going east. Is there some way or something that we need to do to communicate out there in such a way that we kind of know what's going on? Because most of the time, you know, we use our common sense a lot of times, but in that particular case, when we had people telling them to go up there and wait and it's not leave, and they didn't come and tell us what we were supposed to do or that was even taking place.
Sounds like it was pretty busy on scene.
It
so
was.
They probably weren't gonna have time to come up and tell you what's going on. This kind of falls into that a lot where, you know, we'll have an ambulance taking off and saying, well, what do you think we should do weather-wise? It's kind of the same for you at that point. If they told them not to leave, I mean, there might have been a reason. I know over the radio it was said, we're sending some of the people involved in accidents up and away, up to the rest area to wait. And that's all I can tell you.
And there was one gentleman came in and he was part of the accident. He said he was kind of the front end of it, and he had a gentleman with him that had ran into the back of them, and he said the EMT told us to wait up here.
Sure.
Okay, and so that part was communicated to us why he was there, because I think they wanted to come back and check him out. They were just trying to get that east lane back, but we had all these other people. They were sitting there and you could look out and you could see traffic on 24 going east.
Sure.
And they were saying, well, what are we supposed to do? And I finally called the sheriff and said, okay, can these guys go east or can they not? And he said, yeah, we want them to go east if they can.
Yeah. And I'm sure, you know, EMS wasn't sure who was involved. It was just a matter of solving the problem at the immediate time and getting people away from danger. So at that point, I mean, it's free will. They can leave if they want to. So.
Well, in that situation, should we call dispatch and get information, or would that not be, I mean, your guys I know you're gonna be busy already, so we don't wanna add to that.
Yeah, it's like we're gonna be kind of in the same boat as you. We would just simply radio someone on scene.
And do the same.
But they're busy handling, you know, what's right in front of them, so. That's just the kind of stuff we deal with. It's no different than sounding the siren, you know, we're busy in dispatch, and all of a sudden everybody calls 911. You just tell them, you know, there's a storm, or it's test day, or whatever the case may be. So, I mean, we'll help you. If it becomes a serious need, call us, and we'll get a hold of somebody.
Yeah, we had quite a few people, you know, it was kind of packed, which was okay, you know, we handled that all right, but it was like they were asking us permission to leave, and we didn't know. I mean, if we gave them permission and they had a wreck down the road, you know, we'd feel pretty bad about it. So we're kind of balancing that. So.
Our best answer usually is, it's your, you can leave if you want to, if you feel like that's the right thing
if
to
you
do.
feel like you're safe.
I'm not gonna make that decision for you, is one of our favorite things to say. So.
Well, that was the first time that we'd been out there that they had really did that. Now, the communication, I wasn't for sure where to call, so I called Bert, and he said, this is, yeah, they can go east, but.
Yep, there's a lot of chaos with scenes like that, so.
Yeah. But we didn't have many serious injuries yesterday, did we?
Didn't sound like
They
it.
were just.
Yeah. Thank goodness.
Had one family, they were pretty scared. They came through that, and they had some little kids, you know, and their kids didn't even want to get back in the car, to tell you the truth, even though you could see decent by that time. It was.
Yeah.
it's kind of unbelievable how much dirt there was in Canareta, where the visibility compared to Goodland. I mean, Goodland looked clear. Canareta was just,
And people wonder why we shut down the highway.
yeah.
It was clear, but it was mile and a half, so you couldn't see 10 feet,
Yeah,
so.
That's what I try to share on our social media as soon as possible. Here's what's going on out there, and all of a sudden it's different. It's kind of like living in town and saying, well, the weather doesn't seem that bad. But those who live in the country know it's a lot worse out there. It's pretty rough.
it's kind of interesting, when you're in that, people, you know, are asking what they should do. Well, some people say, just keep moving slowly forward, don't stop, because if someone runs in the back of you, you at least have some momentum. Then you have some people say, no, get off the shoulder as far as you possibly can, and then a person said, no, go to the median and get off the median as far as you can.
You should move to the right, all the way off the highway, turn your headlights off, take your feet off your brake, don't have any lights on, because someone may follow you thinking that you're the road. So if you're gonna slow down, and even going slowly, you gotta make sure you're moved off to the side of the road. So that's what caused this, if someone stopped, and someone hit them from behind, and another one hit them from behind.
Yeah.
I think prevention is the main thing. If you see that this awful wind is happening, maybe make a different plan for the day, if possible.
Well, we were just trying to tell them, don't drive into it. If it looks bad, just pull off and let it blow through, even if you have to wait there for a while.
That's the problem, you don't know how long it is. This one was a mile and a half wide, so it was quite long. Most of them, on the way out there, I went through several that were just like 50 feet. I mean, it looked like a wall, but you drive through it and it's like not anything there. But you don't know until you're in it. So best thing is slow down when you start hitting dirt like that, and go at a slower rate so that people behind you know how slow you're going. But if you get in the dirt, don't stop. If you stop, you're pretty much gonna get rear-ended. We've had multiple of these over the years that I've worked. I mean, I don't remember, if you remember the senator,
Yeah.
when he died over by Oakley, I think it was. We had our fatality out here, and I was working an accident on 24. I couldn't find the vehicles 10 feet from me. I mean, you just don't know, and that was so widespread from here all the way to Oakley. It's the long dirt, so. But we've had others throughout the years just like that. All it takes is one field to kick up, and you got a mess.
Make a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $194,652 and $116,7592.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded, we pay the bills, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye, opposed, same sign, motion is passed.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from our last meeting, March 29th meeting.
I will second that.
Been moved and seconded, we accept the minutes, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign, motion passed. If no one else wants to do public forum, Dr. Days and Craig and Brian, if you want to start a little earlier, guys, it's more precious than mine.
Morning.
You sound better.
Okay.
You sound better.
Maybe.
Chairs there, you only get to select certain ones. So it sounds to me like you guys want to work together, that's wonderful.
I guess we have to.
All right, so I guess I'll start the conversation. Okay, so obviously, as we know, Northwest Kansas Ambulance Services provides transfer service to our hospital along with the other surrounding hospitals in our region, especially when we have current or proper staffing to do it. Sorry, I'm still getting over a cold. Anyways, the situation has arisen a couple of times with our service and the hospital where they required a paramedic or higher level type transfer. As we all know, I've preached this to you guys multiple times, I've preached this to the hospital multiple times too, is that we only have 2 full-time paramedics on our service, myself and Krista Elenas. And we can't always be there to give a transfer for a paramedic or a higher level type transfer. We did bring on Erin Van Vliet. She's a flight nurse with Eagleman. She's one of our reserves. And she has been active and helped with doing transfers. We do have a other reserve paramedic. His name is Aaron Ratcliffe. He only comes on once a month. He's only on for 24 hours a month. That's it. He doesn't do any other shifts. He doesn't do callback. He doesn't do anything else. That's the only thing that he does a bare minimum. Let's put it that way. So in that 24-hour period, you do have a paramedic on at that time. And then we have Stacy Kalb. She's a reserve, but she does not do transfers, period, for our service. She will help with 911s, and then that's it. She won't help with transfers with our service. Stacy was on our service full-time, and she got burnt out because of all the transfers that we were doing, and she went to the hospital. So that's where we lost a good paramedic there. So we do have 2 individuals that are going to P school, hopefully Chief Sherman and EMT Saffer this summer in Sterling. So hopefully we can bring those 2 individuals or get them certified as paramedics so that can help increase our paramedic type transfers. So sorry, this is kind of turned into a big round storytelling time, but the point is that there's been times where the hospital has had to put a nurse in the back of that ambulance just to get that patient from point A to point B. The problem is, and I didn't know this until Dr. Days told me about it, was that as soon as that patient leaves the hospital, it's no longer GRMC's patient. It is now 100% the responsibility of that ambulance crew, whether it's that nurse or whoever in the back of that ambulance, until they get to point B. And then when they get to point B, then obviously then the transfer of care then gets brought over to that hospital at that time. So these nurses that have been, the GRMC nurses that have been traveling with us just to make a transfer go, they are basically throwing their license out in the wind, basically, because they're basically working on their own, and that's a problem. So in order for us to make this work, we would need to come up with, like Dr. Days and I talked about, some type of like MOU agreement to where if this nurse gets brought on, the individual would either A, become a county employee at that time. I know Eric and I have talked about this. It's very black and white. If you put it this way, you just put any individual that is willing as a nurse and just put them on a reserve program with our service so that they would just become a county employee and they would be protected then by the county, just like our EMS service, and then they would follow the standing protocols that we have by Dr. Days that gets approved every year. The other option is, I don't know what the other option would be. But the downside to that is that we only pay starting, because this is all we can afford, and I'm not gonna pay a nurse more than what I'm paying already my full-time staff. That doesn't make any sense. I'm gonna mutiny on my hands if this happens. $19 an hour. That's what I start my nurses at, that's what I start my paramedics at. Because that's what we can afford in our budget. And in order for us to increase that wage, obviously we're gonna have to increase our budget, and we all know where we're at tax-wise, and that's kind of where we're at. So, point is that that's either we pay the 19, and then the hospital then comes up with the other half. I don't know, that's where the MOU agreement needs to come into play and say, how can we make this work so it benefits both GRMC and Northwest Kansas Ambulance Service. So, anyways, that's kind of it in a nutshell. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
So there's no way to steer this around. I mean, the idea is to protect their license.
Correct.
So you can't just say it's contract labor, right?
And that's what we're talking about, I think. The other option would be a memorandum of understanding, which we have this arrangement, and Craig can speak to it a little bit more because it's kind of contract language, with Rollins County. We have shared employees that are employees of our facility that go to Rollins County Hospital and do work, services, shifts. And then for their reimbursement, there's an invoice, and then we're reimbursed, or we reimburse them. I'm sorry, I'm getting that mixed up.
I see where you're going though.
We pay the person, or Rollins pays us for what we pay that person for those hours.
Right.
So so they're still our employee. It is contract labor in some degree.
In a sense.
So we got a couple of issues. One, the financial one that you mentioned. And so I think, and I've put together, or I've had our attorney put together a draft here, which I'll share as a starting point. Obviously, it's draft, nice and clear, but it seems to me the fairest way there is the hospital to absorb some of that cost. They're still on the clock from the hospital, so they're still being paid. But if the hospital were then to invoice the county to be reimbursed for those hours at the county rate, and the county's not out anything,
Okay.
and they should have somebody on there anyway, and that offsets a little bit of the cost for the hospital. But and then on the licensure issue, if we can work out and someone smarter than me on the legal language, have to figure this out, but if we can basically treat them as a shared employee, much like what Doc just talked about with the MOU that we have between the hospitals where we share those employees, it lets them really continue to be an employee of the hospital, so they get to continue under their, insurance and whatnot that they have there, liability insurance, and takes that burden off the county. And I think, I'm looking at you, that will work if we have it laid out that way, is it's really a shared employee, and what we're doing is we're really loaning that employee to the county for the period of time that they're on the ambulance. And it's not happening all the time. It's just when we do have a higher level transfer that requires that higher level of care, and that's.
Now, we're gonna run into any trouble with training to be on the ambulance.
Right, no, so typically when we do take these transfers, we always have a technician in the back of the ambulance to assist that nurse.
Okay.
So that nurse, typically, they're focused 100% on that patient, whether it's a vented patient, or they're on a drip, something like that. So the nurse is focusing in on the patient and the drip, and then that EMT in the back is the one that's helping grab supplies and whatever else in the back of that ambulance to help the transfer go as smoothly as possible. So, so typically, we already still our service is still sending 2 people on this transfer with the GRMC nurse in the back.
Okay.
So, we're still sending 2 employees. It's just they're not.
Just when that higher level of care is required.
Right.
And it has to be a paramedic or an RN. It can't be an LPN because their credentials aren't high enough. So it's already met the requirements with Dr. Days' protocols that you set up, that, okay, they have to be able to do these things, and the nurse already meets that criteria. So,
Yeah, so I think that would need to be clarified. Like Chief said, one option would be for that individual, for that provider to operate under EMS protocols
right.
for medications and care, or on transfer, the sending provider, whether it be the PA or the physician, would send orders for if-thens or medications that can be given, and then they would always be available by phone call for medical control. That person is the same person, whether the crew's operating under EMS protocols or the nurse is going still as a GRMC employee, as a shared employee type arrangement. The medical director for both entities is the same as well, it's me. And so I think it would be a legal question, but I think either way would be a allowed or would work.
So it's really more of a matter of how we write up the contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's documenting it to make sure we've got the insurance in place. The finances we can figure out. It's really that, making sure the patient's getting the level of care they need and that we're legally protecting the provider.
If both parties are protected,
Right.
I don't see a problem with it.
To the services credit and then to our nurses' credit, we've done what we've had to do to take care of the patients. We haven't had something written as a formal agreement. But there's been lives saved because we've been able to do this when we've had to.
But we just need to make it so that there's no question about it at all, that, you know, if they need a nurse, you guys say, this nurse can go.
Yep.
All our protocols are already set, both out on the hospital side and the EMS side, so it's
That's
just an understanding that,
See, and it does leave a little bit of a problem because we're staffed
right,
minimally or,
right. So if you're
So if
sending
we're
a
sharing
nurse on
them out,
them,
then we're short at the
then you're
hospital.
short a nurse at the hospital, and, okay,
So we've got to call somebody in or,
if everything works out okay, you don't need that other nurse, but,
yeah.
you know, and you're shackled by the state laws that if you have to have a nurse there, and if you
We have to
gain
have two nurses on.
two nurses there, and then if you have somebody else come in, if you get over 6 or 7 patients, you have to have another nurse.
It's actually at 12, so we're really
Okay.
usually okay.
But
So,
it can happen.
yeah. The problem is you have the 2 on the floor, but you still have someone having to cover the emergency
Right.
room. So if you lose one of those to go take care of an emergency, that's
Right.
when you run into the
Right.
problem. And technically, they're still on the premises, but they can't be focused on the care for the inpatient when they're over in the emergency room. So, I mean, but those are things we can work out
Okay.
internally. This shouldn't be impacted by that, but that's just the logistics is, we ship an employee out on the ambulance, we're short for that period of that transfer.
And that's usually gonna take up 8 hours at
Yeah.
minimum, you know.
If they have to go all the way to Denver and back,
Yeah.
So Brian, the goal, I mean, ultimately, the goal is to get more people. as
My goal is to
paramedics.
have at least one paramedic, full-time paramedic on per shift.
Yeah.
That's
Just
gonna
gotta
be my
take time.
goal. Now, everybody still has to understand is that, we only do one transfer at a time. I'm
Yeah.
not doing like we did before when Johnson was here. I'm not pushing out 2 transfers at a time. I'm not doing any of that stuff.
No.
The burnout ratio was just hellacious. Chris can vouch for that because he was here when all that was going on. So I think hospitals would have to understand is that obviously just because we have one paramedic, just because, doesn't mean that we're guaranteeing you a transfer, because we still might get called out to go take a transfer somewhere else with that paramedic on board, to where you're gonna have to wait. I mean, that's still right there anyways, no matter what.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's unfortunate that a lot of this has kind of come bared on our shoulders. I mean, it's unfortunate other municipalities, I have this conversation, why other municipalities can't, and I get it, budget and staffing, I get that, but I think the hospitals, I think that this is such a dire issue, which I believe it is, because we see it all the time with Northwest Kansas Ambulance Service. Thomas County, they're requesting transfers all the time out of their service. And they're always calling us to do transfer. And Thomas County EMS, they don't do transfers unless they absolutely have to. That's like the very far thing that they do over there. Burlington, they do a lot of transfers over there. I talked to the medical director or the service director over there. She was on 3 transfers in a 24-hour period. So Miss Morris, she's very busy over there. So it's just unfortunate that obviously that everything comes back down to Northwest Kansas Ambulance Service, and then we have to scramble to try to find something to make something work. So I'm glad we have had in the past worked with our hospital and got patients out of here. There was one patient that for sure was going to die if they wouldn't have gotten to I think St. Anthony's. I can't remember what the situation was, but they weren't going to make it for the next 12 hours. I believe that's what Jeff Lard was saying. So Jamie Ross and Amy and Adrian West, they busted their butts and they worked together with the nurse and they got that patient out of here. So they did. So it has been a success. It's just trying to get all this legal stuff
Yep.
figured out. So,
Typical CYA.
right, right.
Yeah,
Well-
let's like get something drafted and
I think we
Make it
put
happen.
something together because it's appreciated that all have kind of come together to see what's going on. And the end result is still on your license. Everything that the EMS does is, we're working under Dr. Daze's license, and everything that these nurses are doing is gonna be working under your license. So we need to be able to protect them and protect you so that we know that things are going in the right direction and that there's no question about it.
with no pressure.
No, we've got good staff. I mean, that's how we're able to do as well as we are.
We gotta work together. We gotta figure it out. Because your issue's gonna take time. And when you got other entities making their problems your problems,
Right.
then, it just compounds. So,
It'd be great if we had some independent ambulance services that were willing to take care of this area, but they're not. That's why Thomas County's gone, because they lost their ambulance service.
But I think it's a larger discussion with other counties as well. I mean, I think
100%.
Yes.
county commissions coming together and understanding the problem that their citizens, require higher levels of care that are difficult to get to. I think if we had 3 counties or 4 counties that were working together and maybe it's funding, maybe it's just cooperation, that we could approach an ambulance service like Eagle Med or like one of the Front Range services to maybe have a station here or something that would be more full-time. We've approached groups before, our numbers just don't justify what it would take for them to staff that or provide a full-time transfer service. But if we had 4 counties committed to support it, then that might be something that works. Some of the things that they've come back to and says, if you don't have the numbers to support us to be full-time, then we would require, a supplement or, something to that. And so those are funds that, 4 counties together may be able to happen, but we have to work together certainly.
you sound like the ideal chairman for such a committee to do.
I'm the medical director in Rollins County as well. And so I think there is a bridge and a relationship that's there that we can build on. Our PAs, the SLI group, they're in Rollins County as well, and they're my liaison to the EMS service. And so we have people in place if we get the conversation going.
So what do you think the first big step is to get the conversation going?
Well, I think it's a service conversation, I think, first, don't you, Chief? And then if we can establish some agreements, maybe some arrangements, then we would come maybe to the commissioners and say, this is what we've worked on, this is how we see it.
We need a working model first
Yeah.
to show that we're making that step. Let's branch out a little bit.
Chief Service is already providing those transfers for those communities, and so I think it would be something to approach them with, to say, let's formalize something and see if we can't provide a better service.
Yeah.
I don't see that once it's in place, the funding is gonna be the issue. It's more getting the personnel to
Yeah.
provide the coverage that we need.
You're right.
Because the worst case scenario is still gonna happen, that you have one and we've got that team and Rollins County or Cheyenne County has a transfer within 10 minutes after we leave, then we're kind of behind that 8 ball again, but,
Well, that's why we have to get all the staffs from the counties. It can't be one county staff supporting
Right.
4 counties.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's gotta be the staff of all of them.
and what surrounding counties would you think would work into this? We know that Rollins County, where you're an integral part of that,
Yeah, I think Cheyenne County would be ideal.
Cheyenne County, and,
Perfect.
I know they're
position.
working to build their service up, some build more employees and technicians in, and possibly Thomas County to be goes forth, or,
Right.
because
Any county bumping up against us, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, I
really,
think so.
Which Wallace County, they're either bringing up patients up to here or they're taking them down to Tribune.
right,
So, Wallace County they don't have the hospital, nor do they really have the staffing down there. They do have a few AEMTs down there now. But when Wallace County is not a very big populated county,
Right.
I think the what we just named, you know, Sherman, Cheyenne, Rollins, Thomas County, those would be our main 4 counties that would be great to work together. Those are our main, minus Kit Carson County, which, again, they pick up a lot of their own stuff over there. But, so we don't get as asked by Kit Carson County. But when they do, we do assist. But the point is that these 3 counties that are right here, these are the main 3 counties that we, as a service, take care of most.
Yeah.
So it'd make more sense to get with those 3 entities and see what it would take to get something more efficient, more streamlined, that's actually stable and usable. So, yeah,
I'd be all for it.
so.
Okay.
You just let us know what,
Okay.
What we can do to, Brad will be able to point us in the direction of the legal matters, but I think it's a great idea to, you know,
we need to meet with commissioners or whatever we gotta do.
Great.
Yep.
All right. Well, why don't I leave some hard copies, and I have it electronically, I can send to you. That'd be easier. All right, let me, do that. Keep one with you. You didn't want one, huh? Keep
Well, I'll take
passing-
one. You-
Keep passing them on.
Well, I thought that's what you were wanting to do.
I'll share.
All right, and then, I'll just send that out electronically, because I think there's no pride of authorship here at all. I didn't do it, it was our attorney, so.
Do any other counties have any paramedics? Thomas County has. one.
Thomas County does. I think I saw they have 4 paramedics on their service last time I saw. They may have more or less, I don't know. But anyways, I know their chief and their assistant chief are paramedics.
Right.
And I think then they have 2 line people that are paramedics. The rest are AEMTs or EMTs over there. So,
I don't think there's anything in Rollins County that I know of now.
no, only thing I know is that they have a few AEMTs and the rest are, most of them are all EMTs. They're in Rollins County. And then
Is
Cheyenne
that-
County's the same way.
I know the state legislation is working to pass to where we can get a non-certified person to drive the ambulance, but still that doesn't gain anything if.
Right. We always, our service can guarantee an AEM, at least an AEMT level. We're not gonna have anything less than an AEMT 24/7, 365 with our service. It's just that then higher level after that, there's no guarantee. We can't guarantee anything after that. So, anyways.
Good.
Well, we thank you for your diligence, and hopefully we can get something worked out to where we can continue making it work.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
awesome.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Murray?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So after several long months of going through all the new requirements for the emergency plans for the state of Kansas, and I also want to thank Ashley and Chrissy, who were a lot of help in going through this process, as there was 487 new requirements this time. We also had to do mapping, put in all the contacts for all the locations in the county, and there's 27 attachments to it as well. So it went in a couple weeks ago, and we actually got our approval letter back. So the state has reviewed it and approved it. And currently, it'll be approved until September of 2028. So. And this meets the requirement for federal funding, which also includes disaster funding. So. Ashley, did you need this, or do you already have it?
I have.
this is approved in, up to the 2028.
I mean, it is a living document, we're always making
Right,
changes
it
to it.
is.
But it will have to go back in and be reapproved by September 2028. So. And I'm sure at that point, there'll be new requirements to meet. So. And then this is a promulgation for the chairman to sign for the county adopting the plan. So.
Want a motion to accept this promulgation, please?
We'll make a motion to approve the new Sherman County Emergency Operations Plan or updated plan.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve this plan, and it's under the statute of 48-929. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion's passed.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. That's all I have.
That was pretty painless.
Thank you.
Do we want to move Burton up? I think we can get,
Okay.
move you up and get you done before our
My request, I'm gonna need a couple minutes before 9 o'clock to be able to set up the Forvis piece.
Okay.
So that's all I ask.
Can you get done in 15 minutes? All right.
Ask for executive session under security.
It'd be for security of a public body or agency, public building or facility, or the information system of a public body or agency if open discussion would jeopardize the security.
For how long?
10 minutes.
10 minutes? Okay, well,
So moved.
reconvene.
You would be in.
Seconded?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So we'll resume at 8:50. Meeting will come back to order.
When I asked to use 2023 expenditures to buy a radar trailer that I actually purchased in November last year, but it still hadn't come in. But I want to be able to use those funds. How much, do you know how much I had left over? I think it was 110.
Let me look, hang on, sorry, I wasn't prepared.
So I think I forgot to verify when I.
$83,044.16 is what you have left.
Okay. But I asked to spend that. I actually purchased it in November last year, but it has not come in. We actually received it Wednesday, but it was damaged. We had to send it back because it got damaged in shipping. So,
Make a motion to approve the radar trailer in the amount of $48,015 from Bush and Associates as a 2023 expenditure.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is passed.
thank you.
These chairs over everybody's.
Is that the auditor, the Phobos?
For us, yeah.
Yeah.
I know they're gonna be here.
Oh, but Jim.
In May.
Oh, May. Okay, thank you.
Thank
Have a good day, guys.
We have a request for Smoky Gardens activity permit for a gender reveal party on 4/20.
Do we have any restrictions on the use down there? I mean, they could have just met anyway, couldn't they have? Without any permit? I mean, if they just showed
But
up.
we have a,
We don't take reservations or anything.
we don't take reservations, but in our policies, we have that if they're gonna have a group of over
It's 20.
Yeah.
20, that we request that they apply for a permit. So they've read the rules and they're abiding by them.
But as far as the county, we don't have any restrictions on who,
25.
25 people.
on who can use it or who can't use it.
Right.
Make a motion to approve the permit for the Smoky Gardens for the 20th of this month.
Do you have a second?
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to approve permit for Smoking Gardens on April 20th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is passed. Request a short break and use the restroom before.
Start getting us connected.
Brett, is this a new agreement, lease agreement?
No, that's the current.
This is the current one.
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID followed by pound. Enter your participant ID followed by pound. Otherwise, just press pound to continue. You are in the meeting now.
Well, meeting you in, I see a couple old men up there. I don't think is that nice?
They don't look like they're having that much fun.
After they join, I might have to jockey you, screen around.
That's fine.
That's fine by me.
Are you guys okay with ARPA requests if we review them at the department head meeting on the
Yes.
16th, and then they can present formally to you guys on the 30th?
Good morning.
Brett Howard here. Good morning. Are you all able to hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm Alex Brett Howard. We're waiting on Brian Callahan from our firm, and then we can get started, if that's okay with you all.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Our legal counsel will be right back also.
Sounds good.
So how's your weather?
Well, we got some clouds here today, so I don't know if we're going to be able to see the eclipse. Do you all, are you all planning on having a good view of that, or do you know yet?
Well, it's gonna be clear skies, but we're
Does it not go out that far?
not, it'll be close.
50%, isn't it?
Yeah.
Gotcha. I don't think Virginia, so here in Virginia, I don't think we're supposed to have the greatest sight either. Brian Callahan, who will be joining, he's in Indianapolis, and I think they have one of the best views,
Yeah.
what I'm hearing. So he should have pretty clear sight. He said that his kids and stuff are out of school, like they've declared, and I know some states have like declared a state of emergency because of the amount of people going to see it, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Once in a lifetime for some people.
Yes.
Yep. Good timing.
Hey, Brian.
Morning.
I think we're now just waiting on Brett.
He's back.
That's right,
He is
Brett.
here.
Oh, he's back? Okay. Well, if you all are ready, then we will get started.
Thank you. Yes.
So we have completed our forensic accounting services engagement with Sherman County. The scope of our procedures was limited to analysis of the time period January 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2022. As part of our engagement, we analyzed county general ledgers, payroll reports, credit card statements, bank statements and reconciliations, as well as numerous correspondence between the county and the Kansas Office of Recovery concerning the administration of Spark funds under the Coronavirus Relief Fund. Through our engagement, we gained an understanding of the general accounting process and certain individuals' responsibilities. With this knowledge, we were able to select certain transactions for further investigation where the county was asked to provide the supporting documentation to indicate the business purpose as well as the appropriate authorization from the county commissioners. We selected approximately 80 general ledger entries, checks, and credit card charges. We focused our selections on the Spark COVID-19 funding and payroll clearing funds for our general ledger selections. For checks, we focused on round dollar amounts, questionable payees, those with no check address, and those written to cash. Lastly, for credit cards, we primarily selected transactions that may be personal in nature, such as travel reimbursements for meals and hotels. We were provided the appropriate documentation indicating the business purpose and authorizations for all of the entries and transactions we requested, except for one credit card charge. Pursuant to county policy, the transacted amount has since been reimbursed to the county in January 2024, and we received the appropriate supporting documentation supporting this reimbursement. Next, we analyzed payroll and compensation, specifically focusing on amounts paid to Ashley Manis and Maria Parrish. In 2020 and 2021, Ms. Manis and Ms. Parrish received elevated compensation amounts compared to 2022, where we see their compensation return to customary amounts as reported online for county employees. The elevated amounts in 2020 and 2021 related partially to election officers' compensation, as 2020 was an election year. The larger portion of the elevated compensation was related to administering the county's Spark funds under the Coronavirus Relief Fund. We understand that Sherman County originally engaged a third-party contractor to administer the Spark funds. However, due to the third-party's performance, the commissioners decided that Ms. Manish and Ms. Parrish should administer the Spark funds for the county instead. Based on our analysis of the county's payroll report, Ms. Manis and Ms. Parrish worked approximately 450 hours combined relating to administering the Spark funds. Based on those reported hours, the amounts Ms. Manis and Ms. Parrish received were reasonable and consistent with the agreed upon hourly rates the county signed with the original third-party contractor. We have not observed Ms. Manis or Ms. Parrish receive any additional unauthorized compensation other than what has already been reported through payroll. And we thank you for your time and understand, and we consider our engagement to be complete.
Okay, because you got everything you were requested of us and found it to meet your needs.
That is correct.
Okay.
Perfect.
Any questions from anyone? If not, I guess thank you for your service, and we'll see if we meet down the road.
We appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Hope you all have a great rest of your week.
Okay.
You bet.
Wear goggles if you look in the sun.
We will, for sure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Would you hit the red button?
Okay.
We'll get a written report from that, will we not?
We're supposed to, yes,
Okay.
pursuant to the engagement agreement.
We have an agreement here with Bridge Program. Is this with, I take it with Kansas Department of Transportation? Mr. Magnum, you've read this? and-
Yeah, it's the standard
Okay,
Kansas contract.
all right.
Make a motion to accept the off-road system bridge program agreement between the Secretary of Transportation and Sherman County, Kansas.
I'll second.
Then been moved and seconded that we accept the agreement. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion's passed.
I think one spot's for the three of you and that one's just used.
Just me.
So the county building alcohol for the 4-H building, if William has had some parties out there that he's noticed, or groups out there that he's noticed alcohol, I brought it to Brett's attention, and due to the wording that's in there, it doesn't say any kind of penalty for having alcohol found. So if you guys so want to do that, we just need to change the wording, if that's your desire.
Would that change the liability contract of it and their insurance?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay.
Because I believe you guys have given waivers before for some wedding
Yeah,
receptions.
wedding
I
reception
think
and
it's
tech
more
college.
so, when they sign this lease, if there hasn't been a waiver, they're certifying that they are not to have alcohol on the premises, but I know William has found some in trash cans, things like that in the past. The way this is currently worded, if, you know, they have to put a deposit down, and there's a cleaning fee in there, and any damage to the premises, there's a fee in there for that. But it's a question of if William finds alcohol when there's no waiver being passed by the three of you, what's the penalty for that? So if you want to levy a dollar figure for if there's alcohol containers found that would suggest that there was alcohol at the event.
It's kind of a catch-22 because you invite your guests if you do not provide the alcohol, but they bring their own in.
Well, that's part of the lease agreement, though.
Right.
You're the one in charge, so.
So if somebody, a group wants to have a get-together, whatever, and one person in that group, you know, dumps a beer can or worse, whatever, then that individual who initially
Sign the
signed the
contract.
agreement is responsible for that, and if they gotta collect from their guests, then so be it.
Because again, they're the ones that are contracting with the county through the lease that
Yeah,
they are responsible for their event.
yeah. Okay,
So William's concern is if somebody rents it on a Saturday, Friday or Saturday,
yeah,
4-H turns around and has an event in there on Sunday and it smells like beer.
yep.
I mean, that's his big thing. And the way people act out there when they are drinking.
Yeah.
So, that's completely up to you guys, but
I think that it needs to be the responsibility that, you know, if they requested having it, that we have a stipulation set in the contract, and if they didn't, they need to be held responsible for that. I don't know what the fine levy, there's no set rules on what the,
Well, you can do a combination thing here, you know, the $75 damage deposit, couldn't we just reword that to cover damages and/or
Discovery of alcohol.
discovery of alcohol, yeah, something like that. Just make it simple.
I'd rather not have to find them again for additional money and just
Yeah,
cash that check, if you will. Because we do in two separate checks. We only cash the rent deposit initially,
Yeah.
and then if there's damage, we do the other check.
yeah,
So
yeah.
trying to get those people back in for an additional dollar amount isn't gonna happen, so.
Good.
Just make it part of the $75 damage deposit.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
Okay. I will make those changes and have it to you for the end of the month meeting.
Okay.
That Harvey's not gonna be at.
That's right.
Okay. We got it.
Yeah.
We got it.
We'll Made another extra load on it, but,
Yeah, it's, you know.
Did you see any action out of the fire board minutes?
I did not see.
Okay.
No.
Then can I ask for an executive session for
Oh, I got one.
15 minutes for non-elected personnel, please?
I will so move.
Been moved, is there a second?
A second.
Been moved and seconded. We have a executive session, non-elected personnel until we'll reconvene at 9:30. All in favor, say aye. Meeting will come back to order. Is there any other items need to be brought up before commission at this time?
Did you review your mail?
Is
And
this-
there's one in front of Harvey.
Kinder and Morgan. Natural gas, CO2, and hazardous material. And just, call 811 before you dig. Look before you leave.
There you go.
Any other business?
Do we have to address that situation in Edson with the septic tank?
No, that's personal,
Yeah.
that's their problem.
Yeah.
That's their personal.
We're just notified of the,
Non-compliance.
Of
non-compliant.
non-compliant, okay. I didn't know if we were needing to do anything with it or not, so.
You see the, Brian,
That was here the other day.
here the other day, he probably knows about it and he could be of assistance to them.
I think he's the one that sent the notice to you guys,
Yeah.
so.
Rod and I talked the other day about when the interstate gets closed, they were working the shoulders on Highway 24. And anyway, I don't know what happened, but traffic got diverted from interstate over to 24. Whether the state or the highway patrol or whoever said it, he says, here we are, we got stuck fixing this road and now they're diverting all the traffic onto it. Shouldn't they have to pay for us to go back and redo what they screwed up? And yeah, I mean, it's a legitimate thing. I mean, the state will still call it Highway 24. You know, to us, it's a paved county road. I mean, basically, and we have to maintain it. So, what do you guys think about it? I mean, what can we do about it? The lawyer
That's a good
says
question to
nothing.
ask the KDOT boys. Don't they have part of the meeting on,
Oh, and on
Thursday?
Colby.
yeah,
Well, it might be a good question then.
okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's instances. It's not like, you know, like, we get it, traffic's gotta move. It is what it is, but yeah, he was just, you know, saying, we just redid that and here they come. And now we gotta go back and redo it. They should have to pay for some of that. Well, okay,
It's an open public road.
Same thing as I have an accident out in the county, I'm gonna divert it to another county road. I
exactly.
mean, you
Yeah.
have to, I mean, we could back it up on interstate, but like, we would've been all the way to Kansas City if we backed it up last time.
Right.
And whether they officially said we're diverting you this way or not, people are gonna, I mean, just like when interstate gets shut down because of ice, I know there were people down around Weston that had photos and video of just light, you know, headlight after headlight.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
People trying to find another route, so.
Oh, yeah.
We've dug them out of county roads that they should not be on.
Yeah.
Because Google said that was a good road, so.
Yeah. Okay.
I totally get the last time with that ice, that one truck tore up 24 really bad on almost every 100 feet because the trailer just kept getting blown over and
Yep.
going in the mud and it gets.
Gouging it out.
It was a bad situation, but I finally told him to park it. He went a mile and I said, you park it. I said, we're not doing this anymore. So, but yeah, I did it because they had to go back in and fix that shoulder probably for that.
That's probably what it was.
He was in the ditch like 15 times in that quarter of a mile.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Been moved and second, we adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed.